Welcome back to AM Northwest. It's one of the true constants in life, change. But the nature of impermanence can cause discomfort. Here on this Feel Good Friday with strategies for coping with change, we welcome back our confidence coach, Laure Redmond. Great to see you.
Hello.
I don't think very many people like dealing with change.
I've never heard someone who's a fan of it.
Yeah, and especially as we get older, right?
I believe it's much harder with time
Yeah.
because everybody wants it to be the way it used to be. And I think this time of year is such a good point in the calendar to look at change because the reference outside are the flowers.
Right.
And the beautiful colors. So we see that everything changes, including nature.
Right.
And now is the time of year where people are really seeing like, oh my gosh, it's almost halfway to the point of the year being over.
Right.
Changes everywhere. Changes in the world, changes in your home, changes in the nature scope. So we've got to figure out how to have a toolkit.
Yeah, and you talk about getting to know when your ego is running the show. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, most people go, what is the ego? The ego is the part of your thinking that's very contracted, controlling, wants things to be the same, doesn't like to give up something that they once had. So the idea is when you notice your thinking is going in that direction, you're probably resisting change.
Yeah.
You're probably not open to change. So you want to try to get more towards the idea of awe or joy or flexibility.
Right.
And if that ego is running the show, you'll know because everything will feel so contracted and tight.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of accepting things, right? So you're talking about acceptance.
That's the biggest one. That's the second tool that I think is good to use every day. Because whenever we feel disturbed, it's usually because of a person, a place, a situation, a thing. And those are often what we can't control.
Right.
But we want to. And the only thing you can really do when you're really awfully challenged by accepting something is to work on your attitude towards it. Because that person, place, thing, or situation isn't in your wheelhouse. It's not going to be something you can change.
That's true. It's kind of, I mean, I think we're talking about technology too, because things change technically.
Constantly.
And sometimes we don't, we don't know how to do it. So now we feel like, oh, let's just ignore it. Pretend it's not happening.
Yeah, and that's a great way to see how like that mindset won't open up your creative thinking or your ability to learn something new. It'll just resist it. So I think acceptance is one of the great things to look at each day. Like, what are you not accepting that you can't control?
Right. You talk about noticing cravings and aversion. Tell me what you mean.
Yeah, if you're having a difficult time emotionally and something's changing. Maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's a job, maybe it's something in your family, maybe it's political. If you're constantly trying to crave like an ice cream pint, a bottle of whiskey, a love affair, a craving or an aversion, which is blaming others, is often blocking what actually needs to be felt. And that emotional realm is not to be avoided. So whenever you notice the aversion or the craving, probably something is trying to get through emotionally that is coming up because of change. And that's important to learn how to surf, because change is like a moving river, and you have to figure out how to navigate it.
Right.
So when you have aversion or cravings, you're probably not wanting to navigate the river.
Right.
That's when it's important to learn.
It's like you're medicating yourself from the change. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Slow way down before making important decisions during this time.
Because what happens when change is in the air? You feel swirly.
Yeah.
I've got to do something. I want to make some decision. It's the opposite. Slow way down. Don't make any decisions. Do not do anything quickly when change is happening, because you'll look back at the decision and think, that was radical, that was too much, I didn't think that through.
Right.
So don't let the swirly experience of change make the decision-making process too quick.
I think that probably happens with divorce and the death of someone close, and all of a sudden you want to just shake things up, but your thought process is you're not really thinking straight.
You're
ultimately,
not.
Right?
Yeah, I was just thinking when you said that of like selling your home because you're going through a divorce, and really that's a great example of take your time. Don't do it quickly.
Right.
Figure something else out. Yeah, because when the big stuff happens, the idea is, what do I do? Where do I go? Nowhere.
No, yeah, just
learn how to like steady on.
You say to reach outward, which makes a lot of sense.
I know, because most people, when they're in the throes of change, want to isolate,
right?
Want to go underground. that's the opposite of what to do. You want to reach out to friends, to family, to even strangers to get some kind of support, which automatically opens up more options, makes you feel less alone, and a resourcing, can be had by someone's input. So you want to resource, not isolate.
Okay, makes sense. The first phase of change is the scariest.
It is the scariest when you're first making a change. I always think about when I first decided to get sober, like it was so hard.
Yeah.
You feel like you're kind of dissolving or if something's dying.
Right.
And it is a little bit challenging in the beginning of any change, but the key is to stay with the challenge because that's what opens up the opportunities in the new life.
Right.
It's like a seedling. If you put a seedling in the ground, you don't know what it's going to become, but it does turn into usually a vine or a flower. So whenever you're in the beginning of change, just know that's the hardest part. But it gets better.
Okay.
And opportunity comes.
Which then leads to be kind to yourself.
Be kind because really change is courageous and it's inevitable, but it doesn't help if you have a little judge critic inside of you making you feel worse about the differences that are coming. So just go with kindness, hand on heart. Courage is a beautiful thing and it needs kindness by your thinking and your attitude.
Right. And especially if you reach out, you can motivate, you can navigate through this, as you said.
Yeah, and most people's worst times are what they think in their own head about themselves.
Right.
So reach out and also reach in and be sweet.
Yeah, be good
because
to yourself.
there's too little kindness these days. I think the more kindness, the better.
There you go. On this Feel Good Friday.
Yeah.
Thank you, Laure.
Oh, have a good weekend.
You too. All right, we'll be right back with more AM Northwest.